things that feel really good. How about when you're a 13-point dog, and not only do you win, but you stomp a mud hole and walk it dry? Who were the Texans on Sunday? Funny thing from last week, Jeremy and I talking about how the Texans were going to have this totally makeshift offensive line due to injuries, due to COVID. They're starting all guys, people like, no idea who these guys are. And I said, watch, they'll have their best rushing game of the season, kind of facetiously. Yet here we are, best rushing game of the season. Once again, the pocket was clean and Davis Mills delivering strikes.
They had a makeshift offensive line, which they've had all season long but the moving pieces previously were high draft picks and guys that you spent a lot trading for. This time, you just shuffled the deck, went to all these different guys, and were more effective against a potential playoff team than you had been all season long. And on top of that, the one thing that I finally am able to say that at least I have some saving grace with is Davis Mills looks like he can play in the NFL. And look, I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback, but he looks like a guy that's going to continue to develop. And maybe that Stanford education, he picks up on things. He observes when he's out, and he gets better when he goes back in, and he got better again yesterday.
And it really kind of started 3 games ago, right? It starts with the Seattle game, where Davis Mills starts to show you he can string some completions together. He's got a little more arm maybe than you thought. He put a little more zip on the ball the last couple of weeks than maybe you thought you've seen. He's been more accurate. He's been accurate down the field. He's shown some leadership. I thought before the season that a good future comp for Davis Mills was Andy Dalton. When Andy Dalton first came out of TCU playing in Cincinnati, he was a good quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback, but he was a very good quarterback who was fairly accurate, who was able to get the ball down the field, threw for a lot of yards, touchdowns, kind of led the resurgence there in Cincinnati, even though they didn't get any playoff wins. They were going to the playoffs. They had winning records. These are things the Bengals did not have for years before that. But a guy who could be accurate and could throw the ball. Maybe Davis Mills has a little more zip on the ball when he needs it than Andy Dalton could put on. Mm-hmm. Maybe Davis Mills has a little bit more mobility than Andy Dalton had as a young quarterback. We see Davis Mills with the ability to roll out, the ability to duck under pressure when he needs to. He's not a sitting duck back there as so many other quarterbacks have been that we've seen. And maybe even earlier in the season when he didn't necessarily know what to do when the pass rush came. I think the biggest thing is we have seen through the season, we have seen Davis Mills get better each successive week, even though the pieces around him are not necessarily getting better. And I think that is a big testament to his development.
The one thing I still don't like, but he got away with yesterday, was he stares down receivers a lot. He when he goes through his progressions and the route trees and the things that he needs to do, sometimes the decision-making has to come quicker. But that's going to come with more reps and more time as he's continuing to get. But overall, that's just nitpicky. The way he didn't have any picks. He didn't turn the ball over. He protected the ball. You know what? He played smart.
Hey guys, I want to tell you real quick about Fitz Roofing. I love the people at Fitz Roofing because they take care of Houstonians every step of the way. It starts with a free no obligation inspection. All you do is call them, 832-521-3001. No matter what you need done, they come to you, tell you what they can do. They go back out the rest of their day. You want them to come back, you book them, and they do great customer service before, during, and after the sale. You can check out all the ways that they can help you at fitzroofing.com. But believe me, Fitz Roofing, making a difference one home at a time.
I'll tell you what. The offensive line yesterday afternoon, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss. That's probably the best game they've put up all year. And in the last 3 games, 4 total sacks, 10 total quarterback hits, 12 tackles for loss. To put that in perspective, against Indianapolis in that 31-0 debacle, they allowed 4 sacks and 11 quarterback hits. So essentially they had, in the last 3 weeks, they've gotten better numbers than they did in just that one game. Who knew if he actually got to stand up and have time to make throws, he could make them. It's really hard to, and it's also not fair to judge a young quarterback, particularly a rookie quarterback, who's playing behind a garbage offensive line and running for his life on every play that he's not getting killed. And they have absolutely no running game whatsoever, dead last in the league in rushing, to support him, to look at that guy and go, oh, man, that guy stinks. He can't play. And yesterday, where you had a whole different offensive line, there's a running game. They're blocking for the run. Rex Burkhead, 31 years old, getting off for 140-plus yards. No Brandon Cooks because he's got the Rona. 7 different receivers caught passes from Davis Mills, and they moved the football. They converted on third downs.
The signs were there. Not necessarily he was a franchise, but the signs were there that he could play. He would lead them on drives. He was doing things that no matter how much you thought Taylor was the short-term bridge gap quarterback, that Taylor wasn't doing. When he got into games, whether it was crunch time or just cleanup time, there were times when he was thrown into duty that he could lead them on a drive that led to points. So that was a progression. Then he sat out for a while. When he came back, a lot of the mistakes he was making earlier, he wasn't as prone to making, and he was improving, and he was still taking them on drives and getting points. And you even think about from the Seattle game, opening drive, boom, 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 matriculating down the field, scores right off the first drive. And you're going, okay, I'm seeing some things. That's why I said hold out hope. You can go to Troy Aikman's rookie year when he was 1-15.
He didn't even get that win. Steve Walsh did.
It was awful, but yet he turned out to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. And again, I'm not trying to tell you that Davis Mills is a Hall of Fame or franchise quarterback, but what I am trying to tell you is that if this guy continues to progress and give the ample opportunities, whether it's the snaps in practice or the starts that he needs to get under his belt where he sees true NFL defenses, he has the skill set right now that says he will be on a roster, should be for this team next year competing for a starting job, but that he should be, if he continues to progress like this, an NFL quarterback for quite some time, whether it be carrying a clipboard or carrying a team to the playoffs.
Considering the overall roster and makeup of this team and what it will ultimately look like again next year, barring some kind of horrific regression, I think right now Davis Mills is the leader of the clubhouse to be the starting quarterback on this team next year as you continue to try to put more young talent back into the roster in what we know is going to be a several-year rebuild.